Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2. We have the best, most entertaining matchup I think we possibly could in StarCraft 2 right now. And first, needs no introduction, but I gotta justify my presence here. Let me introduce, in the blue, the final boss. With his own portrait on display, of course. It's Dark. And up against him, revolutionizing Terran, yet again, bringing Terrans into his meta. No longer the last mech Terran, but instead commanding a new generation of battlecruiser and mech enthusiasts, the tactical Terran commander. It's Gumiho. Alright, both these players making a splash both in GSL, here in the Korean StarCraft 2 League Finals, and in general. And we're starting off about as spicy as you can get. It's going to be a roach rush against 2 Rex Reaper. And if you like to get started early, but maybe, you know, later on take things a little slower, both these players have what you're looking for. Hopefully it's something you like. Just like this video. Jimmy, what are we at? 1,000. If we get 1,087 likes on this video, on this cast, well, I'll cast another series. And I'll probably do it anyways. But no more time for settling out. Only time for micro, as Dark is constantly harried and harassed by these Reapers. But he will not turn all the way around to try to chase them down. As instead, Gumiho getting what he can done. Dark, is that a wall? It is a wall. Alright, the Marines were stuck outside. He's doing a Ravager rush despite the Reapers early on. Dark taking back the initiative from the Terrans, who, at Beyond's behest, have essentially started 2 Rex Reapers about half the openers nowadays. But Gumiho already getting the damage done in the mineral line. Throws off a grenade, but the citizens arrest. Stop right there, criminal scum. And the Reapers go down. I'm pretty sure all the Reapers are criminals. That's like the whole lore thing. But okay, well, the roaches, it makes me feel like the game is on slower speed watching those roaches here. Jimmy! But the barracks back off, open up a little bit of extra space. And, well, now Dark, he lost a handful of drones, but killing the Reapers has removed any opportunity for counter damage for Gumiho. While at the same time, Gumiho under a bit of pressure from the Ravagers, but I think overall with two bunkers set, Gumiho actually ends up getting the well, they're gonna take down the rocks in the Bone Trench after this heated aggression. Oh my god! He dropped the rocks on his own Ravage. Dark. Didn't want that Ravager anyways, and it wasn't finished, so he gets 3/4 of the money back. The insurance company says, well, I guess falling rocks are under the accident clause, and an accident indeed. The Ravager gets most of that money back. And now we're just gonna go straight to lair, because of course we are. What is it gonna be for? Dark's only had 40 drones, and he's getting 2 more gases. Gumiho throwing a Cloak Banshee into the mix, as well as Stim and +1 infantry weapons. So we're all over the place, at least as Terran versus Zerg opener skill. Both players tried some early aggression. Both succeeded and failed in various creative ways. And now, here we are, opening things up. We'll go back to that sellout now. First, the Korean StarCraft 2 League. We're 20 weeks in. If you haven't yet checked out the description, of course, after you like and subscribe, it's your support, and mine, of course, but putting on these weekly tournaments. Thank you to Dave Testa and Chicken Man for doing it. And they're planning on a Summer Slam sort of event. I don't know the details, but somewhere around $3,000+ prize pool. Maybe we cast it live. I don't know. Maybe on YouTube even. Or we wait for the very best replays. I do like bringing good games for the fans. I appreciate maximizing their time. All right, and if you haven't yet, if you made it this far, if you haven't yet subscribed, that would be amazing. Oh my god. You know what else would be amazing? Having detection, says the queens. But unfortunately, only transfuses to save a drone. Ooh. Dark surprisingly effective at hitting cloaked and flying units with corrosive bow, but not this time. Gumiho watching for it. Overseer, he sieged it up with the oversight mode there. I don't actually know what it's called. Oversight sounds right. And if it's not called that, it should be. Well, he sieged it up to get that little bit of extra vision. There's about 25% more vision and detection radius when it's in siege mode. Also partially an anti-F2 thing. But, of course, if it gets out of range, well, then you're out of options. So, where are we at now? Hydralisk Den and an infestation pit. Gumiho. Dark has a nice amount of drones, sitting on 69 right now. Gumiho at 56 workers and putting together a bit of, I would say a tank push, but I don't see any tanks. He's still got the cloaked banshees looking for an opportunity. They're going to cut off some of the roaches, reprising the role of the Reapers earlier on. Banshee take it out of the sky, but the Marines stutter stepping their way forward, sidestepping the corrosive bile and slicing through the non-existent armor of the roaches. The damage output of the Marines is too damn high, with +1 in stim, as well as the medevacs to back them up, but now 1-1's done for Dark. And the tenuous timing here for Gumiho seems like it's about to thin out. Banshee still laying into the evolution chamber, pretty much the only thing it can hit over here. Dark, it was a little dicey, but after the early Roach Ravager rush, Dark is now, what a production temp. He's getting a hive, a 4th base, 2-2 for roaches, and Zergling speed. So, filling in both sides of the tech tree right now. Actually, pretty much the entire thing. Big game upgrades, early game, and going to the late. Whereas Gumiho is returning to some semblance of that Marine tank sanity. Does he have an armory? No. No armory, which means no 2-2. That, I think, is actually just a mistake overall for Gumiho, as he does have the money for it. He's at 5 racks right now. He's continuing to build out CV, so he definitely wants to have access to those higher tech upgrades. But if he just kills Dark right off the bat here, he doesn't need them. So, well, the Marines just trading with the Roach Ravager. And Marine's one of the cheapest units in the game, so if they can take out a clutch of these Ravagers without losing much more than a few of their number, then of course you're going to take that opportunity. But the siege tank's on the high ground. Banshee's still around, by the way. Target firing. Finally, the Queens get rid of it. Roaches coming up. Some of the Queens still on creep. Another round of roaches being obliterated there by the siege tanks, but the siege tanks themselves melted by the corrosive bile. And there's just not that much left for Gumiho, as Dark's biomass has been able to overrun Gumiho's units. It's just not enough. Now we've got a Lurker Den and Vipers on the way. Not a single Hydra has hit the field yet, but by the time it does, we may have the Lurker upgrades already finishing. Gumiho, what do you got back here? He hasn't started his 2-2, which is a significant upgrade gap here. And a bit of a mistake from Gumiho. Going into the mid slash, I think we're solidly in the mid game. But with these two, the lines are heavily blurred on what any sort of part of the game is. As Dark's still working with the Roach Ravager, even while teching up to Viper and Lurker. And Gumiho, well, he's still on just the 1-1 bio, with a few tanks in the background. The bio still split and stimming. Leave exchanges as long as neither side walks into a particularly horrible concave or corrosive bile. Shouldn't be decisive, but one thing Gumiho is doing is keeping the creep pretty much all the way back. But the Vipers, oh, might be a little late. Get over here. Tries to save the tank. Parasitic bomb hits him on the way out, and that is one of the medevacs full of units there. Tries to quarantine it. A lot of extra damage. Ooh, almost gets it. There's the corrosive bile. Spray and pray. Somehow, the medevac with no micro at all actually is able to micro away. 2-2. Now completely done for Dark. Still a while off for Gumiho. But Roach Ravager, especially on the open field. Not going to find too much purchase against the Marine tank. The corrosive bows are not going to land with nothing to hold him down. Ghost Academy already on the way as Gumiho has taken his 4th base. He's got 83 SCVs. His economy is perfectly comfortable. His production is more than competent. And right now, all he has to worry about are the Vipers. Without creep spread, Dark is not able to close the distance on the siege tanks easily. And using Vipers just for abduct against tanks is not, it's not bad, but ideally he's using it for Parasitic Bomb and for Blinding Cloud to finish off the bio. This is not an army that deals with siege tanks well, and Gumiho knows exactly what he's dealing with. Notice how far back those tanks are. That isn't Gumiho being lazy. It's him essentially trying to bait the Vipers into a bad situation. His supply keeps going up. 2-2 just finished. So all these fights have been with Dark with an upgrade advantage. But Gumiho just evened that up. So no longer does Dark have that cost effectiveness such as it was. And right now, Dark has lost 700 more gas, 800 more minerals. I'll admit, I opened this tab. I thought it would be worse. It's not that bad overall, as Dark is probably the most cost-efficient Zerg in the world. I'm even including Cyril in that, because Cyril just doesn't try to be cost-efficient when he knows he's winning. I think Cyril would have already gone Lurker Viper here and possibly killed Gumiho, but Dark likes to take things slow. Alright, savor it. Of course, Gumiho is not unhappy to go to the late game, I am sure. He's already got ghosts on the way. Essentially, I guess he saw the Vipers, so not entirely unprompted. But anything Hive Tech related, ghosts are going to help against. Zerg in general, ghosts are going to help against. The only danger is if they go for the Hydraling Bane and give ghosts nothing to really target. Gumiho's about to hit the Infestation Pit here, which is a bit of an awkward one. Loses the opportunity for Infestors. I guess Swarm Hosts, but well, at least accidental ones, which is what they would be. Infestation Pit survives. Gumiho 4 more command centers on the way. Queens jammed into the main. The Spore. Brenda, what are you doing over there? What are you hiding out in the corner? No loitering. Dark opens up some of the map he closed off earlier, including on top of his own Ravager. Vipers on... Not Vipers, Vikings. They'll start the same way. But the Vikings, not a bad counter just in general. Zone out the Vipers, even if the Ghosts aren't a huge part of it. 2 more factories alongside the extra command centers. Parasitic Bomb, gotta quarantine those Metafacts, but no, the Parasitic Bomb's doing pretty terrible damage. Gonna take out many of the Metafacts, but don't worry, there's 5 more where that came from. Dark only has 67 drones, which means his army supply is quite massive throughout this, as it really needs to be to deal with this sort of bio army. Muscular Augment's done. Nidus Network on the way. Couple more command centers. He was forced to cancel some. 2 more factories for Gumiho. Heading into mass siege tank. And, I guess you could go for Hellbats or Thor. Anything but Cyclones. Though lately, my guessing what's coming out of the factory has not been. With Cure showing us that mid-game Hellbats are back in style. No, my god, I'm pretty sure the creep is... Okay, he almost bled out there. There's a nuclear missile. High-sec auto-tracking. If there are some upgrades that Gumiho's not going to miss, it's those late-game Terran. Alright, I bet building armor is queued up. No? Okay, well. Is he walled off any of his siege tanks? Another checkbox we gotta inspect. Meanwhile, adrenal glands. Pathogen glands. For the, all the glands being improved. At least by most metrics. Very important for the late game Zerg to maximize those glands. But the Marauder drop into the main, looking to undercut some of that. If you could get the spawning pool at this timing, it'd be quite convenient. The Queens transfusing. Marauder's doing terrible, terrible damage, but eventually will be whittled down. Wow, they actually hit quite hard. Those are +3 Marauders now against 3-2 Queens, but, you know, this is this is happening. Guys? Hello? Well, left out to dry, one of the queens. Adrenal glands will finish up. 3 command centers, 3 orbitals, 5 ghosts, and Neil Steel armor on the way. Eventually, the queens will find vengeance. Brenda will have her revenge. Unfortunately, posthumously. So, the mineral wall is definitely the most difficult wall in the game. Oh, corrosive biles, but a firing squad lines up a volley of snipes and knocks out about half. There's no detection here. I think he got the overseers. Gumiho. Well, he's bringing a spore in. You can't snipe spore crawlers. Maybe next patch, says Terran. The spore crawler, the only reliable detection against these ghosts here. Especially since there are no infestors for fungal. Dark losing a chunk of his army. But the lurkers and a couple vipers added on. Also brought an overseer. The snipes lining up. Dark target fire. Oh, get over here. EMP. Oh, well, he just kind of dodges it. And I think a lot of those lurkers are right-clicked on the planetary. Dark, a bit of a mistake. The ghosts are able to spread out and line up their shots. And then run out of detection. Oh, that's a lot of damage on that. Don't worry, there's more command centers where that came from. Dark's over on the other side. Here we go again. Another set of corrosive biles knocks out the sensor tower, though I don't think it's too hard to guess where Dark is. There's still 6 orbitals, going on 8, so Gumiho should be able to keep track of where Dark is headed. The ghost count has gotten at 20 ghosts. Oh my god, lines up another volley fire squad and guns down the front line of Dark's army. But what is there left behind it? Well, there's several siege tanks. It's still like 20 ghosts. So he also has a nuclear missile. The Vikings, the handful of Vikings that Gumiho has kept together. 14 lurkers, 18 hydralisks in production. Dark is just going mass lurker here. What happened to the infestors, Dark? The ghosts able to line up the snipes. The siege tanks take out the spores. The Vikings take out the overseers. And the ghosts take out everything else. Dark trying to jump on the ghosts. But, well, they might not have energy for snipe, which means they certainly don't for cloak and snipe. But the ghosts themselves are able to fight the hydras. But the lurker's still moving forward. I was talking about cost efficiency, but Dark has lost now 3,000 more gas in this ill-fated attempt to run down the... Oh my god! Well, that's another wave of hydras. Yeah, he's just fighting the lurkers heads up. He doesn't really have too many snipes here, but the ghosts are able to avoid it. Back onto the high ground. Gumiho's still maxed out. Ghost count 18 right now. He's lost 11 ghosts. All right, I thought that number would be slightly lower, but finally the infestor's on the way. He's been trying to fight these psionic units here with a conventional army. Even if lurkers can burrow, that's no match for the ghosts cloaked and sniped. I believe there's one lurker over there. Gumiho keeps scanning it. Yep, that's a lurker. He has nothing in range to take it out, which is annoying, but not a huge deal right now. Ghost moving up again. Finally, infestors are popping out, looking for an opportunity. Gumiho looks one good fight away from locking this down. Now we have... This feels like a classic Dark opener. If you're wondering, like, why did Dark do X or Y or Z? Well, how many times have we seen Dark lose game 1 and then turn it around? No, that's not a spoiler. I have no idea who wins this. I saw Gumiho versus Dark and I said, say no more. Well, I saw either of those two names and I say no more. I'll talk from here. I'll commentate. I'll put that replay and watch Gumiho nuke his way through. Good, solid GG timing from Dark. The Roach Ravager didn't get the job done. The Lurkers on their own didn't get the job done. Gumiho, on the other hand, very much so, ready to snipe his way through. A solid game 1 from Gumiho. But that is just an appetizer from Dark, I am sure. I've seen way too many of these series. to expect a nice clean sweep. Even if it is 3-0 Gumiho, well, he's gonna have to work for it. Game 2, Ancient Cistern. I love the cheese. Essentially, it's not even really cheese. When Dark does it, is it cheese? Because he walked up, he saw the roaches. The Reapers tried to stop it. It ended up being a non-issue. I think the real... There were many opportunities for Dark to bring it back in. Maybe go Hydraling Bane. Maybe go for that Infestor-based late game. But felt like a bit of limit testing there. Seeing, well, maybe just the Lurkers. But we've confirmed that indeed against that level of Ghost Enthusiasm. Alright, the only way to cancel it is either be Blizzard or get Infestors. So that is really the best counter to StarCraft's Ghost. Okay, that we got there. They got it. They got it on the first one. Alright, we don't have to just explain the joke. But here we are anyways. So Gumiho, upping the ante. He's like, well, 2 Rax Reaper didn't cut it. But have we had 3 Rax Reaper? That was said with a lot more, that was sarcastic curiosity, because this is what Beyond just won't stop doing. I would love to know, from the Zerg perspective, from Dark, like, so Dark has gone, this is going to be an educational game. So Dark has gone for a hatch first with speed. This is a more conventional, standard macro, I guess you could say. And Gumiho's all in on the Reapers. Well, at least he's heavily invested. He doesn't have to win the game with them, but he certainly has to deny a third. Ideally, force a bunch of blings, and if possible, kill a queen, limit the creep. Like, there's a lot on the checklist, but you don't have to check it all off. You have to do a lot of it, though. 3 Reapers can face a queen and pretty easily win. And unlike the queens, they can heal themselves, which is quite convenient. And in many respects, they can fly, which is just mean. Metabolic boost, aka Zergling speed. Nobody calls it by its scientific name unless they want to sound fancy. Zergling speed done, but a lot of Reapers on the field. Dark has just been making Zerglings. He's at 25 drones. He's relying on surrounding and killing these Reapers. And Gumiho actually just backing all the way off to a safer location. The grenades can zone out, bounce them out of the way. The sheer amount of Reapers, all it takes is 1 or 2. Oh, Jukes loses 2 to bounces his own Reapers up. So I think Dark underestimated. He didn't realize. He hasn't. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Take it back. Take it back. He knows it's 3 Rax Reap. He saw the extra Rax in the main. So, look before you talk. No, never. Overlord speed. Is that for scouting? I would be a little surprised if it was just for scouting. He's going to keep his options open for later. His queen drops might be on the menu. Though he isn't mining with 3 in gas, which indicates he's not rushing to lair in order to get dropper lords, is the implication there. Gumiho just keeps building Reapers. Like, customarily, you finish building, like, once they have enough lings, you're done with the Reaper. It's over. Alright? We're done. Good try. Oh my god. It's a bit, yes. This is, before he got them nerfed, this is what the end game of Reapers looked like for Beyond. The medevac Reaper, so that way you could heal while you heal, bro. Oh my god. He pulled the Reapers out of the base before Dark, but Dark is gonna see there are no well, there's actually, he sees a tech lab, but that's a late tech lab. I think Dark knows at least most of what's happening here. And the response to Mass Reaper is about the same as the response if those were Marines in the medevac, so there's not too much else to be done. The Overlords will be able to keep track of it. That is a lot of Reapers, and 2 medevacs make things a lot more difficult for Dark, because how do you actually... You can just go back into the medevac. Alright, he's trying to trade, but Reapers are fragile creatures. Dark is building drones. He's quite confident he can handle this. And so far, I don't think that confidence is misplaced. Now, Widowmine's a Liberator. Stim. As Gumiho... I think this is Gumiho doing what Dark did last game. Like, but what if? What if we just kept building Reapers? Okay, like, what if we just kept going Reaper? Oh, by the way, these two are facing in GSL semifinals. In not a small amount, I think it's next week. So, wow, the Korean StarCraft 2 League is a high profile and amazing one. I do think, in the best possible way, we're seeing these two just kind of freestyling. Maybe not pulling out the absolute most precisely engineered builds, but also like, well, we'll give it a shot. Which a lot of the time for me is a lot more fun. As much as I love seeing the pinpoint, sharpest timings, seeing Gumiho go mass medevac Reaper into what's about to be mutas of Dark, which aren't necessarily going to end the game, though. Yeah, there's 20 Marines, 4 Widowmines on the field. Baneling speed is on the way. Dark did not respect these Reapers. And continues to be quite disrespectful towards them. But Gumiho has kept enough of them intact to be a constant thorn in the side. And now Gumiho cancels the 4th base with the Marines here. 1-1 is a long way off, as is Combat Shield. So with the mutas, Dark can potentially collapse on either side of this fight. Jimmy, did we just see that Gumiho didn't have a point on the board? Stop talking! Stop bias for Dark! Completely unbiased caster, especially with these two. Alright, that is certainly a choice. Gumiho drops out the Reapers to buy himself microseconds against the mutas. Mutas clean up the medevacs. Now gonna try, well, Gumiho looking to intercept. Muta's on the run. Oh! Still all together. Baneling speed done. And with that, it becomes a lot harder for Gumiho to pick a fair fight. Now the Widowmines, whoa, finding a lot of damage, but mostly hitting Zerglings. And can be cleaned up near immediately. We're still on Dark side of the map here, which means that Gumiho has time to rebuild back at home, but he's losing a lot of his supply. Oh, the changelings drop out and actually prevent some of the drop location. A little bit of a cute move there. Dark, mildly supply blocked. Only has 1 Overlord on the way, so it has to up that number. Chasing down these medevacs, gets another. This is a bit of an arduous process here. Will eventually clean up the Marines. The question is how many mutas he ends up losing. Gumiho tries to target down another. 3 have gone down thus far. Medevacs double back. Dark actually wasn't looking at that moment. That's going to buy a couple more seconds. And those seconds matter as Gumiho has another army headed out. The best defense against mutas is always, almost always, all right? Everything has a little asterisk at the end, but it's a good offense. That's the best way to handle it. You want to keep the mutas from poking and prodding the edges of your bases that aren't quite perfectly covered by missile turrets, or you don't have units, or maybe that add-on was a little exposed. You don't want that happening. All right, being able to fight them out on the field makes it significantly easier. But Dark, the supply gap is quite a hill to climb for Gumiho. Whoa! Widowmines, though, helping to surmount it. softened up by the Widow Mines. And the Marines take their pounds of flesh as well. Few more mutas gunned down, but Dark maxes out with a vengeance. 199 supply. Full 200. Gumiho's 150. Hive, still quite far off, as is customary. You get so focused on the mutas. Lings and Banes, you don't find the gas for an infestation pit or a hive for quite a while. Which means Gumiho potentially has a 3-3 timing lined up. But he has to survive the waves of darkness. How many mutas now? We got 14. There are 138 Zerglings on the map. And that's not counting the 22 Banes, because those are an entirely different flavor. Widow Mine takes a handful of them. Gonna be dealt with, though. Just so many units out of Dark. But he's not going for the kill quite yet. I think he's waiting on that 2-2. Gumiho has bought himself a lot of time, and now he's up to 186 supply. He's got 2-2 against just 1-1, and that matters a lot in these fights, especially considering there are Widow Mines scattered throughout. Dark is clearly trying to wait out his upgrades here. Widow Mines, blunt the Baneling counter, but the mutas find some of the medevacs. Banelings try to roll through. Get a bit of this attack, but once again, attacking before 2-2 makes things a little more difficult. He's morphing Banelings inside of the sensor tower. He doesn't seem to care. Dark took out a lot of the force on the top left side. He's building 80 more Zerglings, but the Hive is still nowhere to be seen. Banelings finishing in vision, and Gumiho backs off at the last second. Thor is here. He burrows a Baneling, spots it. Multiple Banelings. But now that threat has been revealed, and Gumiho has to respect it. Widowmine still on the field. Still a few over to the top left side as well. Gumiho realizing it. We'll try to put him in more dangerous locations. And Dark, who had an advantage, it feels like, for a lot of this game, is now fighting. He's in that position that a more Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm game, where Mutaling Baneling has maxed out, peaked, and now dropped off against the Bio Army of Gumiho, which is quickly heading towards 3-3. He's still trying to cut off some of the reinforcements, but very simply, his army supply is unable to compete with Gumiho when it's all together, which is why he doesn't pick a fair fight. He's able to grind through more of the Marines. He took out one of the Thors. Most of the Widow Mines are gone, but Gumiho's managed to evacuate his base. Magic boxing the mutas, minimizing the damage. He knocks down the medevac with the Thor inside. Oh no, Gumiho. Fumbling at the 10-yard line there, it seems, with the defense, and knocks out more of the Marines. Wow, wait, what? Was it that bad? Did Dark just pull the rug out from us? We gotta... This is the Gumi cam. Trying to deal with the Banelings. More Banelings coming in. Dark is everywhere. The mutas swing it in, take it down. Dark always popping the changelings. He's trying to move those SCVs away. Picking up, loses the medevac, scrambling with everything he has. Didn't notice the Banelings burrow. Trying to pull some of the SCVs back. Banelings pop. Honestly, while it might not be over yet in terms of supply and upgrades, thing is, Dark still has his Mutaball, and Gumiho hasn't touched his economy. So at the end of the day, what that means is Dark can do that again, and again, and again. And even though Gumiho's going to have better upgrades, he's just not going to have the units to keep his economy from getting whittled down. I gotta say, solid GG timings. That's you can definitely GG too early. All right, that's a common issue. But so far, right on time. Like, if it went another minute, fine. But I don't mind either of these two players tapping it out. It sounds a little weird to be something we're discussing at all. But both these two players have the perfect amount of experience to pick the right timing to tap it out for maximum drama. Yeah. And I do think Gumiho, low single-digit % chance of bringing that one back, if at all. And that relied, all that % is Dark essentially having mercy and deciding to play with him until he maxes out on Ultras, which I wouldn't doubt is where he goes with Hive Tech there, which we were denied because Gumiho realized the situation. 2 racks Reaper. All right, that's what we're doing. 2 to 3 racks at least, but no less. All right, 2, possibly 3, but no less, no more. You cannot support any more than that. I mean, unless you're completely all in. But no less than 2, because then you give potentially map control back to the Zerg. Hellions are so every other month, okay? But Hellions are mostly out right now. Reapers are back in, which is kind of crazy to me. As Terrans have just decided, you know what, why don't we just build Reapers again? No one's left to nerf them. And honestly, I do like it. It's a much more active early game. The Hellion Reaper early game had clear weaknesses against roach pushes. So this is kind of your middle ground between being very greedy and getting 3 command centers early and just relying on a shoestring defense against any sort of all-in. And also, you know, having the ability to control the creep, to pressure the Zerg, which can easily get out of control if you're not... Oh my god. But as a Zerg player, this is some of the most annoying early game. Hellions are manageable, alright? But those Reapers, the fact that like you get it to 1 HP and they heal all the way back to full? What is that? Alright, can we take that technology? We don't... I'll argue it's take like 3 years to heal. Alright, we can't even We're doing this again, Gumiho? Okay, so... Wait, was it Cure who did this? I forget if it was... I think it was Cure who did this and then... Yeah, it was just a few days ago. You should watch that series, though. Cure versus Dark. Where Cure lost the game on this map. Because he walled off like 6 of his own siege tanks in between like a tech lab and a depot. Which... He's never been more the people's Terran than that moment. That's probably not true. There's been a lot of moments like that. But that was... and then he ended up winning the series. Spoilers, by the way. But that game, and having 6 of your siege tanks stuck behind a depot is certainly not ideal for having a solid mid-game. Roach Dark only has 32 going on 34 drones. That is an early 2 extra gases here. This is like a Ravager Ling timing. Dark wants to bust down the door. And he doesn't want Gumiho to know that he's coming knocking. He's waited until he took out the Reapers. It's quite a delayed push, honestly. If this was a Banshee from Gumiho, I think that's what Dark is trying to figure out. Because if this was a Banshee, this could fail horribly. The Banshee could start whittling down the roach count by the time they were halfway across. But it is Hellions and a medevac, which are about worst case scenario, considering what he's up against. It's not nearly impossible, as that's still plenty of Marines, and the Hellions will help whittle down the Zerglings at the very least. But it's no Banshee. So, spots the roaches on the field. Not going to be intimidated quite yet. Gumiho backing off. Realizing the potential. Dark. Yeah, he forces the 3rd to lift. Now that his hand has been somewhat shown, has started macroing it out again. Added on more drones. A lair as well. I don't think he... Yeah, he didn't spot the lair started. 1-1 begun. as well as combat shield. Gumiho's 1-1. Yeah, a little later than you'd expect, partially because he went for this kind of half-hearted Hellion play. Both sides, once again, trying to get some aggression in. But because they both went for the aggression, it cancels each other out. The Roach Ravager is more than enough to defend against the early medevac play. But at the same time, it's not nearly good enough to fight against something like a siege tank on the high ground and an entrenched position with Stim Marines. So, it looks like kicking and screaming, or at least with some strong words exchanged. We're going to the mid-game, and a bit of a macro game, indeed. Gumiho will have the advantage, upgrade-wise. I'd say, in terms of the progression of his infrastructure, which sounds real fancy. Essentially, he's got all his barracks up. He's already... One of the big things for Terran is getting your mid-game production, your barracks 3, 4, and 5, as well as a reactor starport. Those things cost money. And Gumiho started with 2 barracks. That's part of why the 2 barracks play is quite strong. He's already got a level of production that allows him to get out on the map, despite going for the 3rd. And now, because Dark had to catch up in that level of production, he's struggling to deal with this tank push. The Zerglings will get the wraparound, but the Marines, well, they're not quite enough. I say struggling, but he cleaned it up pretty easily there. The creep spread is probably the most obvious part of it. The creep spread, not even close to halfway across the map. Only a few fits and starts here with the handful of extra creep tumors he was able to lay down. So, Gumiho still with some solid control of the map. That could change very quickly if Dark decides. And he's not been building drones for a bit. Look at the supply. 155 to 111. He's dropping a tank. Because of course he is. He just threw whatever he had into the medevac and decided he's going across the map. This time, after that game 1, he's not going to make the mistake of delaying his 2-2. Absolutely not. Carapace level 1, about to complete, complementing the +1 ranged attack. Dark is about to bring the hammer down. And Gumiho has a significant portion of his army supply on the other side of the map. 4th Command Center isn't done. Medevac's not able to do the damage. Dark is trying to break through, and Gumiho doesn't have much to stop him. Some of the units are scrambling back. Corrosive Bow landing. The orbital itself could go down on the next volley of Corrosive Bow. No, the SCVs will sacrifice their lives to repair, but losing far more than the cost of an orbital in SCVs. Gumiho backed into a corner. Yes, his starting corner, but a corner nonetheless. As Dark just batters down the door, knocks out the 3rd, the barracks forced to lift. There are just too many roaches and ravagers. This is what Dark would have liked to do in game 1. But Gumiho just had too much of an entrenched position. This time around, Gumiho wasn't able to put together the critical mass. And very key, he just didn't... A 1/3 of his units were across the map. This is not a subtle play from Dark. This is about as unsubtle as it gets. The near 200 supply Roach Ravager. But the sheer amount of Roaches and Ravagers is the problem. 2-2, finishing up for Gumiho. He really would love that cost efficiency. He's backing up. The medevac count is damn high right now. Corrosive Bow's force, another kite back. 2-2, 10 seconds out. Gumiho still has enough bio to potentially turn the tide. 2, 1, it's done. He now has about a minute window. But, struggling to find a decent fight. Corrosive Bow's actually land on some of Dark's roaches. And Gumiho is held yet again. The changelings are taken out. He doesn't want to siege up those liberators together, otherwise the Corrosive Bows will easily gun him down. But Dark is keeping up the aggression. He doesn't want to give the medevacs the opportunity to come across the map. That 2-2 bio, though, starting to really show how much value he's gained. The medevacs still have enough energy to keep the fight going. Kiting backwards. Overseer taken down. No more high ground vision. Gumiho immediately loads up 2 medevacs. Getting what control of the situation he can. Dark leaning on constant production. He doesn't have a hive. He doesn't even have an infestation pit. He knows that if Gumiho was allowed to get too much economy, then he's just gonna run him over. Gumiho has been on one bad fight away from defeat for several minutes now, but Dark is forced into a semi-base trade almost. Well, Gumiho looks like he's heading back. Deja vu. We've just been in this place before. A base trade of sorts, but Dark is the one who has the numbers. He's just bashing his way through. Gumiho trying to rely on his medevacs, cutting off the reinforcements. It may be enough for now, but 2-2's already done. The orbital this time around. Dark just gonna take it out. Gonna finish what he started. Gumiho fell into the same trap. Was it a mistake? Maybe. At the end of the day, we could say yes, but it's the easiest mistake to make, assuming that your opponent, who's been going Roach Ravager for 5 minutes, will eventually do something else. They'll eventually transition to Hive. They'll eventually try to go Hydras. No. Dark held down the Roach key until it stopped working, and the only time it stopped is because his opponent left the game. And that brings us to Game 4, as Gumiho, this time unable to match Dark on the field. That's an essence. He just wills it to work. I don't know. Well, Dark up 2. Gumiho now has to win 2 in a row. So far, the reverse, well, not really a reverse sweep. All he won was a game, but like I said, don't count Dark out just because he had a rough game 1. In fact, that's when he taps in. All right, that's when he decides, all right, I'll play with the keyboard. Those are really frustrating games to lose as Terran, where it is a bit of a poker game, and I would never want, I think the most guaranteed way to lose money is play poker against Dark, as it seems he has just this instinct for what you're going to do. And even though the Roaches and Ravagers in many cases are not the right call, they're just not very good. They are incredibly easy. If Gumiho sat in his base and continued defending, maybe sent one Liberator out, then Dark's army gets worse and worse. But if Dark was trying to tech up behind, then Gumiho had a great opportunity to get some damage done with medevacs. But it is not nearly that cut and dry. Gumiho. Oh, by the way, welcome to Gresvin. Okay. So this game is either over in 5 or 50. That's the Gresvin experience. Okay, it's more like 10 or 50. As Siege Tank Canyon and the sheer distance between the bases makes for some of the most dramatic and drawn-out games, especially with Dark involved. I can't... At this point, I would be hard-pressed to count or even estimate to, like, within 10 how many games I've watched go, like, 30-plus minutes with Dark on this map. And not just in Zerg. I've seen multiple ZVZs. I'm reminded of that Dark versus Scarlet, where Dark decided the best counter to Zerg was still Neural Parasite. And also just turtling on, like, 5 bases. I think Scarlet ended up losing something like 25 Ultras. Well, Ultra's maybe not the best counter to Mass Lurker, but the DVZ is not supposed to play. It's supposed to be a knife fight in a phone booth, not like carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, here we are. Yet again. Hello, darkness, mild. Reapers are the worst. Banshee will be the choice. I don't mind the Banshee after this time around. I think last game, if he had made a Banshee, Gumiho really could have capitalized on that map control. Every game where you don't build a Banshee, it feels like that's when it should have been. But every game you build a Banshee and it does not, it kills like 2 drones and dies to queens. Well, doesn't feel as good. Gumiho, what are you doing? That's private property, sir. You know what also doesn't feel good? Losing all your Hellions and Reaper, killing 2 drones. I Gumiho. I don't know what he was trying. He was just gambling that Dark didn't build enough links, I guess. But it was still a little far, even for that. So Dark now has the map. Full greed behind. Double NG Baby, 4 additional barracks. At least he built a Banshee for safety purposes. Alright. That's like putting on your knee pads before going skydiving against Dark. It's like, well, it can't hurt, I guess. But if Dark decides he wants to go for an attack, I don't think a Banshee's going to stop him. We've seen Queen drops, Nidus, both on 4 racks at a time. So Gumiho going for that full infrastructure explosion here. And Dark, on the other hand, just casually, well, in Age of Empires, they call it, was that just a space chicken? Like an ostrich-looking thing? I don't even know what they are on this map. But he went out of his way to kill the critter. Right, which I think means we have to root against Gumiho here. But Zerg are critters too. Okay, stop. They're not bugs, they're features. And they're featured on the channel very often. Thank you for watching. 3 hatches. I just said that. Like, I think my tone explained it well enough. All right, 3 hatches. You don't need. Yes, that's a lot. 1 in his main, 1 2 fourth bases, whichever one. Survival of the fittest. Now if they both survive, well, they're both fit. So good for them. But Doug truly embracing the map control he gained early on. Now the question is, does he have enough Zerglings? And did he forget +1 Carapace? Uh-oh. That's a mistake. Nope, that's a mistake. I questioned it for a moment. No, there's no way. He probably clicked on both, didn't have quite enough gas or something for +1 Carapace. And now it's just going to be an upgrade down. There's just plenty of money for it and has the whole time here. So that lack of Carapace. Ah, yes. Oliveira popularized this. The Hellbat escort squad. I'm sure I can come up with a better name than that, but the Helldivers. Okay. I'm looking forward to Helldivers 2, is it? I don't know. I kind of liked the first game, but I wasn't huge into it. Anyways. What was I saying? Their entire job is to dive on any units that get nearby and protect that siege tank in Siege Tank Canyon here. Because the Zergling flank and potentially Banelings is by far the most dangerous part of this push. The dangers are not going to come from directly ahead, but from any sort of flank. So that is what the Hellbats are filling in for here. No cloak on the Banshee, but still finding some kills. Draws the Queens out of position. The Helldivers hold on for quite a while against the Zerglings, forcing a difficult trade. But eventually the Hydraslings and Banes are more than enough to close in and overwhelm. Gumiho's supply, though. He has not sat idly by. 5 barracks. Did he get a second factory? 2 factories now. And a fourth... Ooh, auto turret. I remember seeing a Raven in the production tab, and then I promptly forgot it. And I think this is the first Dark learned of it as well. Raven go hiding out and then hiding in the corner here. Classic Raven move. Muscular augments. Hydro speed. Finishing up. Wish I could get a muscular augments upgrade. Go outside. No! Shut up, Mom! Hive tech on the way. Where's the lurker den, Dark? Are we just gonna... Well, maybe Dark actually wants to win this series. You know how I can tell? Not because Gumiho's production tab is halfway across the screen, but because Dark, this is a remarkably conventional Hydraling Bane style. He's got near 80 drones, 5 bases. He's a double upgrades and a hive. He shows every indication that he wants to max out on the Hydraling Bane composition, maybe slap a couple Vipers in, and overrun Gumiho before we can go much further. Gumiho with a beautiful wall off here, just so aesthetically pleasing, which I'm sure will anger Dark, and probably already has, as he's gotten some vision of it. I assume Zerglings. Predator drone here as well. Doesn't end up taking down the rocks. Double drop in towards the main. Double Spire, which I can only imagine is for upgrades as well as Greater Spire. The Banshee goes down. Medivacs forced away. Oh, the Hydras are getting dangerously close. Vipers in production. Gumiho with 3 more command centers. Auto turret in the back again. Spots the hive finished. Infestation pit is upgrading. And that can only mean one thing. Danger. As Dark with Infestors and Vipers. The Dark Wizard he is. That's a lot to handle. But Gumiho already putting together the counter. He's got Ghosts in production. He's got essentially airlocks for his base here. Zerg locks. You keep the Zerg at bay as long as you can. He's setting him. It's so great SimCity here. 2 more factories. And the TPM skyrockets, and the skyrockets are built. Both sides, neither player willing to risk it until they've fully buttered their biscuits. We have 3-3 plus for Gumiho on the way, plus 2 mech weapons. 3 more orbitals finishing. I believe the Raven went down to Parasitic Bomb. 5 Overseers. Meanwhile, Dark has Neural Parasite, plus 1 Fire Attack, a Greater Spire, 2 more Hatcheries, Adrenal Glands, plus 2 Ranged Attack, plus 2 Carapace, and plus 3 Melee. All in various stages of progress. And when a Zerg production tab is longer than a Terran one, you know things are either very good or very bad for that Zerg. Or at least dramatic. A Lurker Den, Spores, Spines, Extractors. We got Neo Steel Armor and this is a no rush 10 minutes. Well, despite the rush and the exchanges thus far. Effectively no rush 10 minutes. Armory on the way. There's only 1 building Gumiho's missing. I dare not dream. Though. I won't utter it. Okay. Maybe it'll increase the chances. 5 more command centers. The Ghosts. Still in production. Essentially filling whatever supply he can. At this point, Gumiho's kind of just trying to trade out his Marines. The expendables here. Another group. More siege tanks. 3 siege tanks. Blue Flame. Plus 3 mech weapons as Gumiho builds out the best Terran army. Smart Servos. The oft-forgotten upgrade. Alright, what else do we have from Dark? There's a very real chance we see every upgrade in the game. Do we have Tunneling Claws? No. No Ultralisk Cavern or Tunneling Claws, but essentially everything else for Dark. Gumiho! Stop. 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 That's too many. That's too many command centers. Okay, so that's like 20 command centers in total here. You know what? We'll see if he regrets it by the end. What I really liked, well, I think it was Gumiho. I can't tell. Gumiho or Cure. They're both very heavy macro Terrans, but adding a ton of extra production in the corner as well. I mean, not just command centers, in case the main base, for some reason, you know, ends up going down. Yeah, where's the Niduses from Dark? Speaking of, Blue Flame is done. Dark going for both corners here. Well, what passes for him on this map? And we're back to fighting, by the way. The non-aggression pact has ended. The economies are at full tilt right now. As Dark rolls in for the first of what will likely be many engages. Assuming Gumiho is also awake during them. Lurkers trying to move their way by. Still, about 100 Zerglings in production. Nuclear missiles, plural, in the production tab. Vikings, siege tanks, ghosts, mech armor. We have +3 ranged attack for Zerg, and both 2/2 flyer upgrades. Siege tanks laying down maximum damage into those Zerglings. 5 infestors on the way, 6 corruptors. Anticipating maybe a more air-based... Oh, what am I saying? Broodlords. Potentially in production. Both sides with money in the bank. Don't you dare build more command centers. Go. Oh my god. That's gonna be like 25 command centers. Nuclear missile. Exploratory missile launched. The ghosts. The only thing they're in danger from is friendly fire from the siege tanks. Ghost taken out. Nuke flies off. No longer our problem. Gumiho says, I don't have enough command centers yet. I mean, and who am I to judge him? He's like, I'd be losing money if I didn't build command centers. That's not exactly how mules work. Still has 74 SCVs as well. EMP. Not sure that was intentional. Ghost still looking for an opportunity. Line up the snipes on... I think he's just dragging over whatever he can get. Thors. We got +3 flyer attack. More nukes. And no, unfortunately, you cannot launch your opponent's nukes. You would have to neural parasite at SCV, build yourself a Ghost Academy, get nukes, and then if you neural parasite, well, at that point, it'd be just easier to build your own Ghost, probably, to launch nukes. But at that point, I am reasonably sure, though I haven't seen it in practice for reasons, I'm reasonably sure you could launch nukes with your opponent's Ghost. But when the neural parasite ran out, then it would break the nuke lock, so that wouldn't be great. But worth testing, all right. Dark, if anyone was to do it. But why build your own when you can borrow your opponent's? That's Dark's usual go-to. Another nuke. So far, not making much progress. Broodlords going to force the issue somewhat. To the northern side of the map, the creep tumors. Yeah, that's one way to deal with them. Nothing prevents tumors like nuclear fallout. 30 more banelings produced. +3/+3 alongside the ground upgrades. Fully upgraded broodlords on the way. Fungal on the go, so you can chain it together. EMP counters, but the Vikings are a little late to protect the ghosts. He's able to save some of them. A whole lot of energy bars to potentially EMP. The broodlord count. It's not that many. He's only got 9 of them. But the Thors, they, you know, at some point the command centers may need to move a bit. So right now, the Banelings rolling in. The siege tanks a little late on the siege. The planetary itself will be obliterated. Between the Broodlings and the Ghosts, or the Banelings, there's just not enough. The Banelings having trouble finding anything else here, though. Another nuke launched just to zone things out. Well, there's also the chance he could just land it on his own army, which would free up a lot of supply. It's the Lyode. Several creep tumors. Once again, we still have to root for Dark because of Gumiho's absolute disregard for the wildlife. 3 more factories and ship weapons level 2. As well as mech armor 3 for Gumiho. He continues, slowly but surely, creating an entirely mechanical army. You know, with Ghosts being kind of grandfathered in. Ghosts are so good they might as well be a mech unit. Three more factories on top of it. I don't know how many command centers are left, but I think he can keep replacing them. Banelings are killing Thors. A very Nesty-esque strat. Not the most cost-effective, but if it gets the job done, Hydra's actually working their way through. Gonna get the sensor tower. Gumiho, bringing up reinforcements. We've entered a very hypothetical part of the game, where it's less about whether you can beat the army on the field, but about what army they're going to build next. As right now, Dark keeps shifting in and out of Hydraling Bane. Like, he still has enough on the ground. It just, well, that's one way to cancel the base. Nuke is launched, 5th nuke of the game. But this one canceled immediately after the hatchery is. Dark, well, he has so much money in the bank. And he's lost a couple thousand more minerals. But he's actually lost less gas than Gumiho. They're 12. Oh my god, that's okay. He's just doing that on purpose. That is, you can't even mine with that many. Like, he's building 10 SCVs and then he's like, I need to mine out this base as soon as possible. Oh my god. Well, alright. If that doesn't make the thumbnail, I don't know what will. I'm sorry, these lurkers are good, but... Jimmy! Oh my god, here come the ghosts! To clean up a handful of the lurkers. Gumiho ends up losing... a few more. His army supply is still massive. Another nuke. A lot of zoning nukes. More tumors cleared by the nuclear missiles as he's slowly but surely pushed them back across the map. He's building 5 Thors at a time. Some real box art gameplay here. Nukes and Thors. And ghosts and siege tanks. There's only one unit of the box art missing. Gumiho. Well, lurkers will slice through. Lurkers are doing a good job. They both got money in the bank. This is one of those that the fights will continue until someone realizes they're out of money. And neither of them is particularly near that point yet. So, oh my god, Command Center Alley. That ghost is about as dead as I've ever seen. The Thors will blast their way past. What's in here? He's got a couple of siege... We're dropping siege tanks, picks them right back up. How many Thors? Which is, building that many Thors against Dark is a bold move. He does already have infestors with neural parasite. They are already burrowed as well. So Gumiho just gonna continue working his way up. Thor and ghost drops. Siege tank Thor and ghost drops. As Gumiho is maxed out, he continually has less in the bank, but his income, as long as there are mineral patches left to mine, he will do so with great prejudice. There are currently 11 orbital commands. Cyclone on the way. I can't help but think of that as a misclick. Dark with a counterattack. 5 orbitals in the air. Almost half of them. Ah! A few Thors will make their way back. Alright. As both armies are so incredibly unwieldy that it's becoming very difficult just to catch each other on the map. Dark has 7k, 9k, over 9,000 gas. He's not maxed out. I think he's kind of deciding. Is it infestor time? What is in store for him? Will he go for Vipers? Or is it time to embrace his infestiny? Alright. Okay, Corruptors. Never mind. Broodlords it is. Oh, Gumiho. 3 more starports in production. And you wouldn't know it by the commands, or no, wait, those are the starports, and Dark Seas. The fusion core, though maybe a bit of a questionable timing. There is no bad time for battle cruisers. Though when your opponent has Mass Infestor and Vipers and Corruptors with maxed upgrades, well, you know, there's no better time. And he's walled off his siege tanks with the starports. But battle at the 11th hour, or the 26th, it's only been 26 minutes, wow. Only 26 minutes. And he starts advanced ballistics just to spite, and 2 okay, alright, 2 tech labs. Neosteel bunker in the main. I assume that's to deal with, that's pre-Nidus defense. And then, what do you need the money? Gumiho, come on. The Venn diascan here. Liberators, triple siege. Feels like quite a efficient way to lose your liberators. Meanwhile, as the mech army grinds its way to the north. An arduous process. Gumiho does not have that much gas in the bank. He has plenty of minerals, but his army is incredibly gas heavy. He's only got 5 Hellbats, which are his only mineral units, or mineral only units. Either is correct. Ghost looking for some more snipes. Advanced ballistics is about to finish, making it a little easier. The creep has finally extended. Oh, he's broken through the wall. They're breaking into the buildings. The infection is spreading across the colony. Oh no. They are dozens. And at this point, Gumiho's struggling to deal with small. He starts a battle cruiser, which it almost feels like this is him. It's in his contract, all right? If a game goes to 30 minutes, he has to build at least 1 battle cruiser. Otherwise, he loses his sponsorship as the Admiral. I'm not actually sure. I don't believe he's on a team right now. Somebody has to get on that. Well, siege tanks being taken out by siege tanks. And also the Zerglings drawing their fire, but mostly siege tanks overall. A single battle cruiser. His command cruiser. Dark has 5,800 minerals, and more importantly, 8,500 gas in the bank. You can't build anything without minerals, but you can't build anything good without gas for the most part. Gumiho continues to grind his way forward. There's still a couple thousand. He volleys a set of scans across. I'm sorry for taking so long to say that sentence. But he has a dozen orbitals. Dark has 150 creep tumors, a number that is constantly being cut down and replaced immediately. 42 banelings. Which, you know, is the ultimate solution to everything. Gumiho, this has been... It really feels like... This game feels like it's been an hour long. We're only 29 minutes in. They've done a very efficient job of mining out the map. In fact, well, there's been a lot of resources lost, but not nearly the total we've seen before at this timing, which is usually around the 100k mark in the most exhaustive of games. But Dark is down to 48 workers, and Gumiho to 36. Which, so, if it was anyone but Cyril or Dark, I would say Gumiho still has a very good shot here. But that is a lot of money in the bank, and Dark is the best at dismantling. Oh my god. The flock of mules. Well, 3 battle cruisers. So his Hail Mary move is battle cruisers, which seems appropriate, but I'm not entirely sure if the battle cruisers are going to find much. Does he even have Yamato? Of all the upgrades to not have, the battle cruisers on home defense here, which is, you know, when the amount of banelings, he's manually detonating. He has no vision. He is manually detonating and/or letting the siege tanks and ghosts themselves blow up the banelings at point-blank range. So he's spraying and praying his banelings towards the ghosts. He's got, I don't know, 17 broodlords, more corruptors on the way. Yamato Cannon joining the production tab at this late hour. Ghosts are almost futile. 160 creep tumors. All right, for every 5 you kill, 20 come back. Gumiho gonna land 1/12 of his orbitals over here, while scanning continually, trying to keep tabs on those infestors. The TPM raises the missile turret count. Something to zone out. He should know that those Marines aren't real, because he doesn't actually have any Marines in his army. So that makes it a little easier to figure out who's a changeling. Well, here come the Vipers. Going to dismantle the Liberators. Knocks that one out. The battle cruisers. Looking for an opportunity. He's at 5 cruisers. Slowly but surely incrementing him out. Oh, I don't mean to yawn, but it truly feels like almost a BGH no rush game. This is the highest level no rush. And how could you say that, Winter? They've lost almost 100,000 resources. I know, right? But it feels like just such a grind. And oh, the battlecruisers need to jump. And they do. Oh, Gumiho. Well, that wasn't very, that was... You need to jump! Stumbles off a cliff. That looks like jumping in a story game that you're not supposed to jump across. Okay, well, I ran into a invisible wall there. That was... And now Gumiho, the Thors are turned against him. The Brood... Oh my. Wow, this feels like the Hobbit movies. Alright, we probably could have wrapped this one up in 1, but instead we drew it out for 3 as Dark. Well, Dark wins. I wish I could say that was a dramatic turnaround and an epic conclusion, but You probably could have seen that one coming about 20 minutes ago. I really was hoping Gumiho had some crazy dramatic answer, but nope. He mined out about as much of the map as he could, and then jumped about 14 feet with his battle cruisers. Lost all his Thors to Neural Parasite and said, "I'll see you at GSL." So this time around, Dark will grab the victory. Strongly taking 3 games in a row after less than stellar game 1. But oh my god. Well, on the bright side, he's looking out for our ad revenue here. So thank you for watching to the end. Not all games can be dramatic and surprising. Some games, Dark just continues grinding Gumiho to a pulp. So hopefully you enjoyed that beatdown. Thank you for watching. I look forward to the rematch in just a few days. I guarantee you we're going to see a different Gumiho. Probably a similar Dark. But look forward to the GSL semifinals. Thank you to the Korean StarCraft 2 League as well. Make sure to check them out after you like. How many, Jimmy? 1,087 likes, and cast another. We'll probably do it anyways. Gotta wash that one down with something. Thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.